This is the tale of Little Red Riding Hood. Using food. Yeah, you heard me. Food. So as we start off our tale, it's important for us to get to know our main character. This right here is Little Red Riding Hood, played by a tomato. Now, Little Red Riding Hood is just a young girl, and she is here with her mother, played by another tomato. And this is their house. And Little Red Riding Hood's mother, she loves to bake goods, and she bakes the best goods in the land, a lot of people say, especially Little Red. So Little Red's mother has told Little Red Riding Hood that she needs to deliver some baked goods to her granny's house. But the way to get to her granny's house is through the woods. Ah yes, you know what they say. Anything can happen in the woods. And is it really safe for a little young girl to be going all alone through the woods? Well, I guess we'll have to find out. After being instructed by her mother, specifically, do not talk to strangers on your path, Little Red Riding Hood, with her basket of goodies, set off to deliver them to her granny's. But as I mentioned before, the woods are a mysterious place. You can find lots of things there. Dangerous things, scary things, deceiving things. So let's take a look at Little Red's journey. Little Red Riding Hood had taken this path before. She knew how to get to Granny's. She wasn't afraid of getting lost. In fact, on this day she wasn't really afraid of anything. She skipped through the woods just like a happy little girl would. But that's when Little Red Riding Hood, during her skipping through the woods, she decided to take a break for a moment. And that's when our next character is introduced. Yes, this right here is a wolf, but it's not just any wolf. It's the big bad wolf, and he's being played by a banana. So the big bad wolf approached Little Red Riding Hood and started asking her where she was going, what she was doing alone in the woods, and what was in her basket. Little Red answered, saying that she was going to visit her granny, who lived in a cottage in the woods, and deliver her this basket of goods. Well, the wolf's mouth started watering, but it wasn't over the baked goods. He asked where her granny lived, and Little Red Riding Hood, naive and mistaken, told the wolf exactly where her granny's cottage was. So Little Red Riding Hood skipped off, and the big bad wolf started scheming his evil plan. He had to act fast. This right here is Granny's cottage in the woods. So the big bad wolf, much faster than Little Red, made his way to the cottage before she arrived. He knocked on the door, waiting for Granny to answer. This here is Granny, also played by a tomato, of course. It runs in the family. Here she is, laying in her bed, just waiting for her Little Red to arrive. But she hears a knock on the door. So, of course, Granny decides it's time to get out of bed and see who it is. Unbeknownst to her, it's a big bad wolf. As Granny opens the door, the big bad wolf comes in and grabs her, locking her in her own cupboard and also stealing her clothes. Now the big bad wolf is dressed up as Granny and lays in her bed waiting for Little Red to arrive. You know what's coming next. Shortly after, Little Red Riding Hood makes it to the cottage and comes on in to find her granny laying in bed. But she looks a little odd, and Little Red can tell. Little Red Riding Hood comments on her granny's eyes, saying they're big, and Granny says that they're just bigger so she can see her better. Next, Little Red comments on her ears. And the wolf, disguised as Granny of course, says that they're big so that she can hear her better. And lastly, Little Red comments on her big teeth. And the wolf then says, "All the better to eat you with!" And at that, the wolf pounces at Little Red, who screams and runs out the door. The wolf tries to chase her, but a woodcutter from down the path hears her scream, comes in, and makes the wolf run for his life. The woodcutter, played by this Pepper, gets Little Red to safety, and then, after hearing her in the cupboard, rescues Granny from the cupboard. Of course, Granny's naked, but whatever. Now Little Red Riding Hood and her Granny are reunited, both safe, and the basket of goodies made it there. Little Red Riding Hood learned an important lesson that day. Don't talk to strangers, even if they seem nice at first. And also, nice is different than good. The wolf, on the other hand, made it away, but he also didn't get any dinner that day. Oh yeah, and the wolf isn't dead, he's just being played by a banana, and banana can't physically move itself. So, they all lived happily ever after, for the most part, I guess. And that's the end of the story. Or is it? I say not. In fact, Little Red Riding Hood, Granny, and the Big Bad Wolf all have Twitter accounts that you can follow to see their thoughts and experiences before the incident, during, and after. And also, Little Red and the Big Bad Wolf have become quite the celebrities, as they both have radio interviews with DJ JD, found on Soundcloud. You can find the links to both SoundCloud radio podcast interviews down below, and you can also find the Twitter account links in the description as well.